Welcome to the Microdosing for Healing podcast. I'm your host, Casey Garrett, and together we'll be discovering and learning from inspiring voices of healers, medicine keepers, and visionaries. Every episode, we'll explore the world of health, vibrant wellness, and natural medicine for a new era of human society. Welcome to today's episode. Hi, my friends. Welcome. My name is Casey Garrett, and I'm the founder of Microdosing for Healing. We are a United States-based community of people all over the country brought together around microdosing mushroom practice. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm really excited to speak with you about a question I get so frequently these days, which is, I am a healing artist, a coach, a therapist in the healing professions already, and I really want to incorporate microdosing practice into my existing practice. Beautiful. Welcome is the first thing I would like to say. I have now supported almost 800 people in their microdosing practice, lots and lots of beginners. And what happens so frequently and organically is people awaken to their own healing and potential. And with that growth, they are called to serve others and support them in their path. So this is not a coincidence. It's very much the way nature intended it. And I really believe that in the future, microdosing, earth medicine practice, plant dietas are going to be reintroduced into modern society in a way much like other health trends that seem so fringy and strange 20, 30 years ago that are quite mainstream now. I really believe earth medicine practice will become part of people's daily lives in a very integrated, holistic way. So thank you for being here. Today, I want to share with you some very practical knowledge and wisdom that I've gained from working with so many individuals. And I also come from an entrepreneurial background. I've had healing art studios and built businesses and product lines. And so a lot of healing artists want to know how to incorporate medicines into an existing practice, but don't know where to begin, given this is such a rapidly changing landscape, right? So why is a good first question to ask. One, I think fundamentally, it's so important that people have a guide, a community, a support of some kind. You know, people often ask, can I just microdose on my own? Yes, you can. You can, but it's such a different experience than most people have ever had, you know, and it's certainly so different than the pharmaceutical model of medications and the way they work. So it's very important to have someone who ideally has some experience, has kind of been where you are going, and can reflect the experience back to you, who can listen to you, can support you, offer guidance along the way. This is such a subtle practice for some people. You know, everyone moves through the experience in their own unique and divine timing. And it's important to know that, you know, and when you have a mentor accompanying you who can really see you through your unique process, it's very, very important to the process. So one big part, having a guide mentor community to reflect back what is happening for us is so important. You know, we humans in this modern moment don't do subtlety very well. You know, we're so distracted. We're so overstimulated. Our attention tends to be all over the place. And so even when spirit and the medicine is speaking to us, oftentimes we miss it because we're so overstimulated and full and distracted. So oftentimes we have noticed in our community, oftentimes it's the sharing, it's the reflection that people can really, once they're saying their experience and sharing their experience, that's when all the magic happens and they can see the difference in their experience of life, the difference in their relationships, the difference in their reactions. So it's that relationship and reflection that allows them to really see the deep gains and benefits they are making in the process. 2, another great reason to incorporate microdosing into healing arts practices is when you begin to microdose, your mind opens up to new possibilities. So every other healing arts modality, coaching, therapy you might be doing is going to be so supported and amplified by the practice of microdosing. One of the important pieces of microdosing is once you have this new opening, this new awareness, this rich deepening, that's the time when you really need to step into practice with the medicines and make sure that it's a dance and not a passive experience, right? Because your mind can be open, your spirit can be opened, but if you don't take the steps to make the changes in your external reality, you're going to be missing so much as part of the process. So that's why I think incorporating it with coaching, therapy, support, any healing arts that help you simultaneously heal, grow, discover are going to be such beautiful companions to the process of microdosing itself. Everything will get amplified and your clients will have such better, more accelerated results in the process. Also, another important reason to have accompaniment in the process is even the longest time healing artists that I have worked with, we come with so much conditioning, right? We can't help it. We grew up in this modern society. And so we are so deeply programmed to think that our healing is outside of ourselves. Our healing is beyond ourselves. Some of us are so labeled and in our box of symptoms and diagnosis. Also, we're so programmed and conditioned to think that healing means feeling good all the time. As any healing artist can tell you, a big part of the process of healing is moving through these painful moments where we might be more emotional, we might have more grief arise, we might have deep fatigue arise, we might be irritable and cranky. As these deeper layers of healing, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, come up, arise for release, a lot of it is releasing, deconditioning, deprogramming from everything we have been told sometimes by the media, by our families, the way we were raised. I work with so many people who, having emotions and working with emotions is one of the richest parts of the experience because we realize how interconnected our emotions are with our healing and our evolution as humans. So those are my top 3 reasons why I celebrate you and welcome you to incorporating medicine practice into your healing arts practice. More practically, at this point, if you are ready to go, I would love to introduce my favorite aspects of getting your practice primed and ready to introducing microdosing practice into it. So let's begin. The first one I want to share, and this is so important. First one I want to share is no matter what you do, no matter what modality you practice, it's so important you begin with your own personal experience. Other people might have a different vantage point, but I feel like with this practice, with medicine work, it's so vitally important that you have an embodied experience in microdosing practice, that you take the time, that you have a guide, a support, a mentor, a community to move yourself through the process, because I share this with a lot of healers. Your own process and your own path will inform how you bring medicines to the world, and a lot of it is just going into it, stepping into it, having an intention without a grippy expectation of how to do the thing, because medicine and spirit will show you how you're going to do the thing in the process. So the more you can turn off that business brain for a second. You'll get back to that at some point, but start the process with really being open to be guided and led by spirit, by universal forces, and what you and how you are meant to uniquely bring it to the world. 2, legality and safety. So this is a rapidly changing field. The country is all over the place. Decriminalization is happening. Legalization is happening. And by the time you watch this, it will be very different than when I recorded it. So everyone, when it comes to microdosing practice, needs to consider your own safety risk level. And the fact is, it's going to be different for each person. Those of you who are familiar with my work, we really lead with cultivation. I really believe in cultivation for so many reasons. I feel like it's a beautiful practice to enable people to become empowered to grow their own sacred medicines. So you are not providing medicine to them, you are supporting and guiding and teaching and educating and holding space for them along the way. But it's up to each individual to decide for themselves they want to begin a relationship with the medicine and create those medicines for that relationship. So cultivation is a beautiful way to make the medicine work accessible and also to empower people going forward. So that's an important reflection, and having a group colleagues to discuss, depending on where you live and how you want to structure your practice, that will be a little bit unique and different for each person. Also, it's wonderful to bring your practice and medicine work in a unique way that's authentic to you, right? We want the thing, we're so human, like humans want to know the way to do the thing, because we're coming from these corporate standardized franchisee models of healing that don't work, right? We know they don't work. So healing in the real world, as it really happens, is so unique. It's highly nuanced. Everybody moves at their own pace and time. It's highly related to how much work you have done in the past, what kind of work you've done in the past. So it's really hard to standardize this work. There's things we can do to hold frameworks and structure in this work, but it's really hard to make this work cookie cutter and standard. So spend some time. I think your own unique experience will lend itself a lot to how you create an experience for others in your own professional practice. But just know creativity is wonderful here, right? You want to create a practice that's really true to you and unique to how you want to bring medicine work to the world in combination with the gifts and skills that you already possess, versus creating, something copied off someone else's doing, because that's not necessarily going to work for you, what works for them, right? Next piece you want to consider is dealing with stigma, judgment. There's still a lot of out there. Those of us who kind of exist in this world most of the time don't encounter it so much because we're not out, trying to convince people. But just know, like, outside of our healing arts and our spiritual spaces, there's still a lot of fear. There's still a lot of scarcity. There's still a lot of colonialism and people trying to put their stake in the ground and how things are done and only they can do it. So that's just going to intensify, I think, over the next months and years. So I think it's really, really important, even if you don't encounter it too much in your practice, you want to know for yourself how you will speak to these things and what you care about. And so you can stay in alignment, stay true to who you are, but also hold medicine work in a really honorable, respectful, reverential of nature way, so that when people are curious, They might not always express it as curiosity, but they're curious nonetheless. It just might become layered and loaded with a lot of stigma and judgment. But underneath all of that projection is a curiosity, right? And so it's with curiosity as an opportunity to, again, hold the medicine, hold this work with honor and respect, and view it as an opportunity, right? So formulate ahead of time how you will present this work to the world, I think is really important. Marketing your practice is really important. So how will you express this work in your practice? So I always encourage people that I coach and in our mastermind program to not lead necessarily with medicine practice. You be you first and foremost. Medicine practice is a powerful, magical, so effective of a healing modality that it might be a huge part of your practice. But I think leading with you and your unique gifts and offerings to the world will enable you to present the medicines in a way that are nestled in a container of care versus just people getting the medicine and treating them like a pharmaceutical model where you are just a pharmacist or an apothecary. I think holding the medicines in such a way, expressing and marketing them nestled in this container of care is very powerful to continue the deconditioning process of giving people back their power, giving people back their sovereignty to take their own healing into their own hands and ability, right? I think learning before you begin offering a program, a course, a community, it's really, really good to have some experience of a range of people. And there's several ways you can do this. You can, of course, begin sharing with your friends and your family and loved ones. It's a very natural mycelial way to begin. I also really suggest you participate in an existing microdosing community. And it can be in person, it can be online. I think it's invaluable when you are starting out and incorporating medicine practice into your practice to really see firsthand how unique the experience is. I cannot emphasize this more. It would be impossible almost to completely standardize the process, like a pharmaceutical process or a codified way to do this, because I have seen after hundreds and hundreds of people, it's so unique. The timing is so unique. The dose is so unique. The way that spirit communicates with them is so unique. And so once you really see that, that will really inform the way that you share medicines in your practice, because you will allow and create frameworks that will create structure and steadiness for your clients, but will also allow enough spaciousness so that each person can feel supported no matter which way their process goes, whether it moves very quickly or it's a little bit more measured or it's kind of all over the place, which does happen too. So I think knowing who really thrives with practice, I think recognizing who might have more challenges with practice is really effective. And also knowing the kind of standard silos people move through. And by standard silos, and I hold that standard very loosely, what we have found from supporting so many people is there's people who move very quickly through their process. These people are frequently have already done a lot of spiritual work, contemplative work, work on themselves, have done therapy, have done and often worked in the healing arts. Sometimes people, it's game on almost instantly within the first days and weeks of a microdosing practice. That's one group of people. Another group of people, it takes a while longer. And often these people, even though things are happening, it's harder for them to see and feel. Sometimes they're just so in their minds is one of the things that holds them back from moving more quickly through the process. Sometimes it's just they're so distracted. They have very, very full lives, so they can't notice the subtleties that are happening. And so working with a mentor, a coach, a guide who can work with you on the frustration and impatience that arises. Again, it's just an element of our modern humanity. We want things done yesterday, especially here in the States. So this process is so different than that. Using that time as an opportunity versus feeling like you're being thwarted in your experience. And then the third group of people, and I was in this group when I first started out, is you have a lot come up and shifting emotionally for release, for clearing. And we've seen a range of emotions. Sometimes it's irritable and crankiness. Sometimes it's fatigue and people just feel like they got clotheslined suddenly and need to nap and go to bed early. Some people have deep grief come up and just feel kind of tender and sad and move through the process. So again, all of these things are completely natural and pathways to healing. And why I think it's so important to have a community, a guide, a mentor to hold space for you and see the longer term perspective, see as you're moving through your process. And oftentimes there's so many gifts and benefits that are happening simultaneously to the more challenging elements. I think, and I've seen this over and over again, and I catch myself, I've been in the healing arts almost 30 years now, and I still catch myself needing to remind myself when I'm going through these ever deepening layers of healing and spiritual evolution it's not easy. I still catch myself going when I'm going through deep releases and clearing significant energies, density, traumas, moving through those experiences sometimes can be physically uncomfortable. They can be emotionally uncomfortable, challenging in a number of ways, but it's so important to have that community there to see you, truly see you, and see what's happening for you in the process, to hold out that mirror and that possibility for this is just your own healing. And as soon as you move through this period, it's going to be, again, another layer of brightening and lightening, and totally well worth the momentary discomfort. Right. I think another thing I'm very, very passionate about when I work with colleagues is increasingly, I think in the healing arts, it's going to be so important for us to focus on not only the modalities that we do and offer to people, but how we do it is so critical right now. Like it or not, healers are the leaders in the future. I think we are going to step into a healing renaissance where healing becomes fundamental to society for the first time in our lifetimes. And we're going to move healing from something we do once we get sick to healing is something we do all the time, every day, as part of our regular lives. So people are going to be aware of healing in a new way. They're going to be willing to invest in healing in a new way as we come to recognize that unless we are healed and healthy, the buck stops there. Like healing affects every single facet of our lives, from our professional life to our family life, to our ability to be a parent, to our ability to survive as a species, frankly, at this point. So I think in the next months and years, it's such a beautiful opportunity for healers to step into their own leadership and really utilize and partner with medicine practice as a new way of approaching healing as a society, right? It's new, it's different, people are curious about it. And so using that, I think, and this is why I think nature is bringing us this gift at this time, it is the perfect bridge to the future. It's the opening, it's the path, it's the channel that we need to get out of our old way of thinking and start to open up to a new way of thinking. And we can utilize that as healing artists in our practices to welcome people to this new framework of thinking. Another aspect you'll want to consider is how you like to work. Like, do you like to work in groups? Do you like to work one-on-one? Do you like to work in a hybrid sense? Do you like to work in person or online? So again, I think really checking in with yourself and trying a bit of each until you really, really figure out what's true for you. Because the more, the better, I think virtually and online is such a beautiful opportunity to bring this work to more people, no matter where they live in the United States, which is such a gift. And it's so powerful to have everybody and kindred spirits that are connected by this practice in the room together. So I encourage you to try it all. The more people that you work with, the more you will gain skillfulness in holding space and guiding people in this process. So a range is great. And when you start out, it's likely going to be with one-on-one work, just because it's until you work with a fair number of people one-on-one and learn what you're doing, get confidence in your skills. Then over time, I see a lot of people opening up to, small group work, to pods, to cohorts, to ultimately building really vibrant communities and in the microdosing space. I also suggest, one of the things I see when guides are holding medicine and mentoring people with microdosing is more and more people are coming who are on an array of pharmaceutical medications. So for yourself, and also so you can stay within your own scope of experience, unless you are a pharmacist or pharmacologist, I suggest partnering with an expert and professional of your choice that you can establish a really trusted professional relationship with and share and offer that to your community and your client base. We love the pharmacists that we work with, and over time, it's been a beautiful, beautiful partnership, because it's, even if people aren't on a medication currently, they might be at some point. They might have a surgery or a temporary illness that they need medication. So it's been really, really invaluable to have a pharmacist that is kind of our go-to collaborator that we can refer to our community to in a safe way. So I think collaborations of all kinds, so that again, it's a new field in modern times. And because the public is learning about it for the first time, the public really doesn't know that you're not going to be able to answer every and all question about it. So I think we, as healing artists, coaches, guides, professionals, can really form these beautiful collaborative relationships where some of us are actively working with people. Some of us are more like concierges and connecting people. Some of us are scientists and pharmacists who can consult when people need it. So all of us being in community and kind of in touch and having these collaborative, sovereign relationships is a really, really beautiful way. And again, hold up some new models of thinking and ways of being for the public. So lastly, I just want to encourage you to continue deepening your own resourcing, your own practices, and really spend time with your colleagues, get to know your colleagues. We are going to be creating so many new avenues to bring medicine work to modern society and new healing frameworks in general. So the more we can get in the room together, the scientists, the doctors, the shamans, the medicine keepers, we have so much to gain by being in touch with each other and communicating. We're going to be experimenting with so many new models, and we can go, okay, this worked and this didn't work, or this was the perfect amount of people. As we develop communities, we'll learn things real time. I think we're embarking on a really creative phase in our human history where we're going to be innovating and creating and visioning so many new ways to bring people together around their health and their healing. So the more we can be in the room together and learn from each other, it will benefit all. So thank you so much for being with me today. If you would like to learn more about our community, you can learn more at microdosingforhealing.com. We have a lot of free resources on our website. I am very, very easy to find on social media, so you're welcome to connect with me. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I am active and share my work frequently on all of those platforms. I also created a 5-ish hour all video course specifically about microdosing mentorship. So it's geared for therapists, healing artists, coaches, wellness entrepreneurs of all backgrounds and types. A deeper dive on a lot of the things I touched upon here in today's talk. And it will give you much more practical and structural elements to bring into your professional practice, if that is of interest to you. That is called Emergence, and you can also find that on our Microdosing for Healing website. So thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for the beautiful work you're doing for our world, and wishing you all the best as you go forward on your medicine journey. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Microdosing for Healing podcast. Are you ready to take the next step? Please visit us at microdosingforhealing.com to access our free Microdosing 101 workshop. In it, you'll learn more about our diverse community, our supportive group programs, and discover if earth medicine practice might be right for you. See you in the next episode.